Hello and welcome to Extraordinary Women TV with Shannon Skinner. I'm your host. Well, on today's show, we are going to be talking about building wealth and preserving it with my guest, Jilla Mott, who's a financial advisor, and you're not going to want to miss this one. Later in the segment, before we take a break, I'll have my regular Good to Know Minute when I ask my guests for their top success tip, and you will hear Jilla's. Jilla Mott, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you. Let me formally introduce you here. You are a fellow certified general accountant specializing in tax, financial and insurance advisor with Keybase Financial Group, a mortgage agent. You are also a sought-after lecturer, educator, producer, writer, and TV commentator, and you have won a number of awards, numerous awards.
Yes, I did, 7 of them.
And including one that is actually really intriguing to me, the foremost women of the 20th century from Cambridge, England. I'm intrigued. You must tell me, what is this award about?
Well, actually, it was a big surprise to me because I didn't know I was nominated. But a colleague of mine, a friend, he became a friend of mine later. He was a client, actually, who I met in Toronto, and he was English. And as it turned out, I did a lot of work for them in the offshore because they had dual citizenship as a family. So they inherited money and so on. So we did a lot of work together. And as it turned out, at the end, I found out he was an earl. So I was very pleased to know him, but he was a wonderful man. And he's the one who nominated me. I guess he thought a lot, highly of me. That was very kind of him.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, you have a really interesting life. You've had a very inspiring life. You've done a lot of wonderful things. And a lot of it began in Switzerland.
Yes.
Before you moved to Canada.
Yes, my family, we believe that we are all citizens of the world, So the world is your oyster. We were all living there at the time when I was, I guess, about between 14 and 16 onwards. But I was also studying in the United States for a couple of years. But mainly in Switzerland, I studied English, actually, not so much French, even though we spoke French in the French part in Lausanne and Vevey and Montreux. Those of you who know Switzerland, it's a very beautiful part of Switzerland. And I studied there, and they were well-to-do, of course. We were well-to-do. And then around 16, when I was 16, life changed. And I heard that my parents wanted me to get married, and I had a lot of suitors, but I didn't want to get married. I felt I was too young. So I decided, unbeknownst to them, that I was going to get a job. So I went to Nestle in Lausanne, and I asked them for a job, and they interviewed me, and I had to do a lot of tests. And as it turned out, they wanted somebody in the Cross and the Blackwell division in the confidential part. So I got the job, and I was dancing in the streets. I came home. I was so happy. And my parents, they were horrified when they heard.
They didn't want you working?
They did not want me to work because I was groomed to be a lady, not, in the finer things. So I didn't know anything about money. So I think they're going to get into that later, right? So I was pretty happy. But things happened later because I found out they were paying me a quarter of what I was worth or what they would pay other people.
That Nestle was?
Yes. So interesting times, but yes. I learned a lot.
And you said that life for you changed at 16. What happened there at 16?
Well, we are Persians, Baha'is. And of course, things changed in Iran, and the Shah at that time, king, he confiscated the rich people's land and etc., mines, etc., businesses and agriculture, etc., to take for himself and divide it to others. But he didn't really divide it. He kept the good stuff, right? So I'm not a political person. So anyway, because of that, we were 7 in our family, and I'm the eldest. So my parents had to take action against the government. Of course, it was no good. And I didn't want to go back, and so that's why I decided I was going to take a job. But of course, we never talked about money because that was a taboo thing. And that is why actually I am where I am today, because my goal at that time was to learn all about money and teach it to women and children and kids and, all the people that I could, because I did not know anything about money. And at one point, I sold 500,000 Swiss francs of furniture and everything else for 5,000 Swiss francs because I didn't know. I was 16. Somebody came and says, okay, well, I'll take everything for 5,000. And I thought 5,000 was a lot of money to me, but as a child, because I was a child, really, So I learned the hard way.
So, so your roots are in Iran.
Yes.
Your family, wealthy family, moved to Switzerland. Got your education there, had a number of suitors, came to Canada, and got your first job, of course. And in this time, you discovered that you needed to learn about money. Is this what inspired you then to put you on your path today?
Yes, actually, when I was in Switzerland, when I was in Nestle, it was very good apprenticeship for me because I was there 5 years, and I was eager to learn about everything, business and finances. And I was very, very lucky because they trained me in different areas, and then I went into the accounting department, and that's where I met my ex-husband, George, and we got married, and my son, Nick, was born in Switzerland, and he was 2 years old when we left because we wanted a better life for him in North America, in Canada specifically. So I came here, and again, I went to work as an accountant. But they didn't accept, or they didn't know about the credentials from Switzerland. So, of course, I was a lowly accountant. But then I decided that if I want to get ahead, it wasn't very, very good money at that time. Would you believe I was earning $3,000 a year? It's unbelievable when you think about it. And you were able to survive barely, But that's when I decided that, of course, other circumstances happened, and we were getting separated with my husband, and I was very sad because my circumstances were such that there were no funds available. So, and I was very weak. I couldn't take care of my son. Because he took him away, so I couldn't keep him and I couldn't fight for him. So unfortunately, I gave up. And at one point, it was doom and gloom in my life, but I decided that can't be. I need to get my son back. So I worked and studied. I had 3 jobs, and I really worked day and night. I had 3 hours of sleep. I don't know how I did it for 14 years. I got my 13th grade that night, I got my University of Toronto, and I got my Certified General Accountant at the same time, all of this one after another, and while I had jobs. So, I became, if you like, successful as a woman. And I was always shattering the ceiling, if you like, glass ceiling, in the women's financial area.
And in this time, you hadn't had contact with your son for quite some time.
No, unfortunately, I didn't. And 20 years later, I was very sad, and I was trying to find him, actually. But I was not able to.
And so you went on a path looking for your son, but eventually some good news came your way.
Yes, yes.
You found him.
Actually, in 1990, I was very depressed. People didn't know that, but I was totally, I found out, I had money, I had everything, and I was mortgage broker at that time, and I was also tax accountant, and I decided that, money wasn't everything to me, and, everything I've done, I don't have the joy of life, joie de vivre, you have to have that. And I had my purpose. I didn't have my purpose. I wasn't fulfilling it as a mother. So I really wanted to find my son. I was missing him extremely. It was very difficult. So I prayed a lot, I meditated a lot, and I decided I was going to find him. And miracles happened, you know, when you decide, when you use your mind, because I believe in mind over matter. So that's why I'm here. And so I was trying to find him. I didn't know that my mother also was trying to find him. And different circumstances happened, and I was doing actually a video for young people. It was the first in Canada, and it was on business planning. And I wanted to give some examples to people, you know, that they could have this video, and it's about half an hour program, and to start their businesses. And there's, you know, there are different people in the video. So as I finished it, I dedicated it to my son. And it was very interesting. In 1992, in May, I found him. And it was through my mother's hairdresser. It's a very nice lady. She was an angel. Her name was Angie, which means angel in Greek. And she went to Greece, and she found my son. And it was the highlight of my life, the second highlight, because when he was born, that was the first highlight. I loved him very much, and I love him very much. And now Nick, he's in my life, and he's actually immigrated to Canada about 2.5 years ago with his family. I have 2 grandchildren, and they're delightful, and they live with me, so I'm very happy about that.
And so in that time, your husband then took him, or your ex-husband took him to Greece.
Yes, he was living in Greece, and he was actually studying in England. He's very bright, and he's self-made, and he's wonderful.
And so now here he is, reunited with his mom.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud of him and his family. So thank you.
Now, Jilla, when you were growing up, when you were younger, did you have any role models? Particularly women, is there any women that you looked up to and you said, this is the kind of life I want to have?
You know, Shannon, it's very interesting you asked me that question. There weren't any women in finance that were in positions that I could look up to and say, okay, this is the position I want. This is the life I want. Most women were, you know, like, because it was olden times, you're talking about 40 years ago, they were not into finance. So I didn't have role models. But what happened is, as I went along, I became role models for the women. So everywhere I went, I was the first chief accountant for Global, for example, when they were going through their bad times.
Global TV.
Global TV,
right, yeah.
Yes. And then I became financial analyst for a very interesting company, Abitibi Price. They were all lumberjacks. I was the first woman. I was shocked. I was the first woman there. And I thought maybe it's a token position, because at that time, actually after that time, the government was trying to bring the affirmative action into the businesses. And, you know, I was, before that, I was working for a British company, Associated Biscuits, Pig-Free, you might know that mark better, and so on, because I was into food. So I don't know why, I just gravitated to those companies, and they were British, and we had a very good synergy. And I was a financial analyst. I was doing a lot of financial things, and I never thought about myself, you know, shattering the glass ceiling, but that's what it was all about. But when I was tired of traveling, and I wanted to finish my CGA, Certified General Accountant, so I needed to be back in Toronto, not going back and forth to Montreal and US and all of that. So that's when I decided I was going to look for another job. But of course, they were looking for a man who had strategic planning, military background, you know, bilingual, MBA, all this stuff, and also you know, was in the military or something, because that's strategic planning, right? And as it turned out, I was the best candidate. And even the people who were headhunters who were introducing me, I didn't know that. They didn't tell them that I was a woman. And when I got there, they were shocked. But when they found, when my boss, I remember he was sitting very far away from me and very, you know, controversial. And when he found out, he asked me questions. And when he found out I could do more than what they wanted, because I knew computers and all of that stuff, and he came closer and closer, and he started smiling at me, and he just said, look, I have to introduce you to our vice president of finance. I said, okay, you know, I was very cool. So I knew I had the job. Of course, you know, as you know, women were paid about 20,000 less than men. So I always had 20,000 less than men, and I did about 3 times work. And as it turned out, I trained all the financial analysts there. I was supposed to be the financial planning manager after my boss became vice president after a year, but that never happened. For 5 years, I was training everybody under me. They became my bosses. And they were going to lunch. They were excluding me. But you know what? That's where I became a role model for other women. And I'm happy about that, because I have been, and I always, you know, do talks, and now women are interested. At that time, there weren't that many women interested. Even I wanted to promote them. I was in positions that I could promote women. And they didn't want to be in financial area. I don't know why. Because yesterday we talked about the statistics. 1 in 7 women live in poverty or below poverty.
In Canada,
in
1
Canada.
in 7. Yeah.
That's a very sad story.
Yes.
Why? Because we are not interested. May I share with you a story?
Yeah, please do.
I was on the board of United Way pensions many years ago in the 80s. And one day, they were sharing what is happening, you know, with women. And there was a lady, senior, who became senior at 65 and was going to retire. And she was working for March of Dimes. And I found out that her pension was $28 a month. I was so shocked. I started crying. I said, oh my God, you know, what is this? So I asked them, I said, please, you need education. We need to bring education into the workplace, into the schools, you know, from when people are young. Not only women, men too, young men and men as well. It's for everybody, this education. It's out there. We have to do it. So anyway, so they allowed me to do a seminar. But what was very interesting, it was a public seminar. And you know, I did it for nothing. I always did anyway. So do you know that there were about 100 women who came, but most of them were very well-to-do women at that time, not the ones who really needed it. So I don't know what it is. We have to wake up the women, wake up the young women too, and tell them, you know, you got to look after your future. But you know what? I'm very happy, because more and more I see that they are taking interest in their own finances, and they're becoming more astute.
Now, Jilla, this is fascinating. We're going to pick it up after the break, but it is time for a break, and that means it's my Good to Know Minute, and I know you've got a great tip for my viewers, so jump right in there.
Well, as you know, we talked about mind over matter. I believe that positive thinking is very important. That's what got me here. And what I believe is never give up hope. Have patience and put your whole trust and confidence in God. If you believe in God or whatever, universe, whatever you want, or yourself, actually. You have to have self-confidence. But where does that come from? It's only in us. We have to get rid of this stinking thinking. And stinking thinking people too in our lives. We have to kick them out, whatever you have to do, and bring in the positive attitudes and everything else. I think it was Walt Disney who said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I believe that we can fulfill all our dreams and goals if we put our mind to it, and all the time give ourselves, instead of thinking negative stuff, think positive stuff, because your subconscious mind, our subconscious mind, is a slave to us. And it can only say yes, and it will bring us whatever we need to do whatever our goals are. So I really believe that. So I wish you all the best and positive thinking. Don't forget.
Thank you, Jilla. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Jilla Mott. We'll be talking about how to grow your wealth and how to preserve it. So stay right there. Hello, welcome back to the show. I'm Shannon Skinner, and I am speaking with Jilla Mott, financial advisor. And of course, she wears a number of different hats. She's also a general accountant specializing in tax, financial and insurance advisor. She's a mortgage agent. She also is a lecturer, educator, producer, writer, and TV commentator. And it's a pleasure to have her here. We're going to be talking about wealth now. Before we talk about tips on growing your wealth, which is what we're going to do next, just to recap, I mean, Jilla, you've had this amazing life, having born and raised in Iran, educated in Switzerland. At the age of 16, you made probably one of the biggest mistakes that you've made that launched you on your path. You sold, as you said, 500,000 Swiss francs worth of valuables for 5,000 Swiss francs. At the age of 16, you didn't know the difference. And somewhere there you decided, no, I'm going to empower myself.
Yes, when I found out that I had to live by myself with 1/4 amount of money that Nestle was giving me instead of 100%, and nobody was there to defend me or fend for me. So, and it was, my life had changed so much. You know, when you're up there, it's very good, but when you fall down, it's hard to get yourself up there again. So I decided that I wanted to learn everything there was about money and finances and get myself going and successful, if you like, and also teach others, because I was totally, you know, babe in the woods, literally, in the financial area, because nobody in our family had talked about it or taught me, and I had no idea what the cost of living was and everything else. So that's why I remember my wonderful grandmother, God bless her soul, she was the one who actually was my inspiration. And she used to tell me, study, my child, because the knowledge that you gain, nobody can take that away from you. And the love of your family and God, nobody can take that away from you. So never forget these words. Everything else you can lose. You know, they can burn by fire, or we had thieves in Iran, so they can come and take it away from you, the thieves and etc. And she had no idea that we were going to be in that situation, or I was going to be in that situation with my family in Switzerland at the ripe age of 16. So I always remember her words, and she's always with me, and thank God for that, and she gave me discipline. That was very interesting. And I didn't like it at first, but you know, I thank her a lot every day, because those are the things that made me want to study and teach others.
So, you know, as an entrepreneur, you have many hats, but I guess the one core denominator, the one base denominator, is that you're an entrepreneur. And yes. What has been the greatest challenge you've faced in all of this? I mean, in learning about empowering yourself financially, learning about money, and then helping others learn about money and grow their wealth. I mean, what has been your biggest challenge?
I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, because all our family was self-made and entrepreneurs. So, but you know, I didn't know I could do it. But I had that in the back of my mind, and I was giving a lot of seminars in financial and business and everything to women executives and entrepreneurs when I was a member at that time. And what got me going or motivated was that when Abitibi Price was going to downsize, like they were going to get rid of 7,000 people. At that time, in the early 80s, 81, 82, there were massive layouts in Canada. That was depression, I'm telling you, not now, worse than recession. So I tried to talk to them because everybody knew I was financially successful. So people were coming to me to ask me for advice. And I was giving it to them, and I started the public speaking, not course, but
training
mm-hmm. for people in the Black Towers, which is all the Toronto Dominion Towers, downtown Toronto, etc. at that time. And I was always talking about finances, and everybody called me Miss Doom and Gloom, because I was not allowed to talk in Abitibi about any of that, because it was all confidential. We couldn't talk about what was going to happen. But I knew, because I was financial analyst. I was doing all the budgets, and they were coming to me for budget cuts and this and that, so I knew what had happened at that time. So because of that, I started putting together a financial package, training package for employees. Financial planning for employees. And I took it to my boss, Vice President of Finance, and I said, look, I would like, on my own time, to give this, series of workshops to people at lunchtime, after work, weekends. I don't mind, because I was already working all of that time for them without pay anyway. So, and they refused to do that. And I saw what happened to people. People committed suicide, because it was a paternalistic company. So anyway, so that, as a result of that, I think I got so angry that I decided I was going to do this. And it was like baptism by fire. I just quit my job, because they weren't going to do this for their employees, And it's history. Yes, I got baptism by fire, but what happened is I got hired by Inco. They were going to lay off 600 people. So I started, teaching all these people, from the top executives to the bottom, sweeper, floor sweeper, and it was very interesting. I had a lot of success, but of course I didn't know how much to charge and all of that. So there were a lot of challenges, and my biggest challenge, then and now, is not money; it's time. It's time management. We talked about this. Everybody wants more money, but they also want more time, and we cannot fabricate more time. So it's time management that is my biggest challenge, and also offering what people need, because I'm a catalyst. I'm a financial coach, if you like, wealth coach. So when I see my clients, I listen to them and say, okay, what is it you want? What is it you need? So I think we're going to get into that in a few minutes. So we'll talk about how we do that.
Yeah, well, let's talk about, as a nice segue, what is your investment philosophy?
Okay, my investment philosophy, first of all, I take a snapshot of my client situation, because it's very important. We are a holistic person. Actually, CGA, Certified General Accountant, they had labeled me when I started Canada's holistic accountant, because I was talking about always, that it's not just, you can't just separate finance and money from your life. Everything you do has to do, in one way or another, with money, unfortunately. Not everything, but most things. If you want a nice life, you want to give somebody a gift, or whatever you want to do, it has to live comfortably, give your children good education. Everything has to do with money. So the first step is to take a snapshot, and that is to sit down and say, okay, go over your goals. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your plans for the future?
So start writing your goals down.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are some tips we are going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about the tips. Yeah.
So then what you do is you take a snapshot of your financial situation, which means what are your assets, what you own, and what you owe, liabilities. So the net amount is what remains. Most people have a net worth. Of course, that is in financial terms. But, women and men we are all worth much more than the sum of our assets and minus our liabilities, especially women, because we are the pillars of society. And society has forgotten that. We are the mothers, we are the sisters, we are the people, the teachers, the counselors. We are the people who hold up society, the mothers. The mothers have to be educated to teach their kids. If my mother was educated in financial terms, if you like, she could have taught me all of this. But she didn't know anything about money, and she did a lot of things in her life that, she didn't seek advice. So the best way is to seek advice. Find a good financial advisor, a good money coach, that you have a good relationship with, you trust, because everything is ethics for me. So that's very important. Then look at what are your goals. What do you want to accomplish? So if you don't have enough money and you think you need more education, then invest in education. There was a gentleman, Derek Bach, I think his name is. He said, if you think education is expensive, imagine ignorance.
Yeah, the cost of ignorance.
The cost of ignorance.
Yeah.
So it's very important to educate yourself. For me, that is why I am successful in life, I guess, in finances, is because I got myself educated. And I never stop. I never stop reading and educating. Everybody says, you're crazy. You got another license here, and you're doing all of this stuff. But professional development is a must.
That's somebody told me recently they put in about 1,000 hours of professional development every year, and that's. But maybe that really truly is what it takes then to be at the top of your game.
Yes, that's exactly
right?
And research. So my philosophy is, after you do all of this, then where are you going to invest? So, of course, everybody knows you need to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, but look at what is best for you and what. So I would say that each segment of your saving program or investment program or retirement program or for the children, there is RESPs, registered educational plan, there is TFSA, tax-free saving, all of these components. Each of them should be maybe in a different kind of investment or something that you feel comfortable with, because they have to be ethical, of course, but also they have to give you a lot of return. The problem today is we are in a very, very low interest rate environment. The last 50 years, we are the lowest. Even 50 years ago, it wasn't as low as today. Can you believe that? And so because of that, the banks, the GICs, guaranteed investment certificate, are giving very little. So let's say if they give you 2%, there is a rule called rule of 72. So you take 72 divided by 2, that means it takes you 36 years to double your money. How many people have 36 years to double their money? And also, that is not counting tax, that's not counting inflation. Inflation is around 2%, so what do you have? Zero. So it's guaranteeing you to lose money. So, and the thing is, with everything that's happening, people are retiring and they need retirement income and so on. So this is what I do. I research to make sure I find the best, highest income producing investments for my client. And also tax advantage, because tax matters. People think, oh, we don't mind. But if you don't know tax, I don't know, some advisors don't have tax background. I don't know how they do it. But for me, that's one of the key elements. So depending on which salary group you are in, still in Canada we pay a lot of taxes. So that matters too. So I take all of this into account, and I look at internationally, not just Canada, but of course, Canada, we are very lucky, we have resources. So I believe right now in hard assets. So I'll be happy to help anybody who wants to, talk about it and review their program, because this is what it's all about. You have to make sure you can keep the money, right? Preserve it.
Preserve it, because that's making it is half the battle, isn't it? But then once you have it, to keep it, to preserve it, so you don't lose it.
Yes.
No, that's also a big job, isn't it?
Yes, you want to preserve it, but you want to also earn enough that it will accumulate, right? And at the same time, long term. So for each segment, if you have a short-term investment, then of course go put it in the bank. But because if you want a guarantee, but you have to look at your risk and rewards, and also how you feel about it, because you have to be comfortable. You have to sleep at night. I think that's what the end product is. I sleep very well at night because I know each of my clients, they're in programs that are either insured or guaranteed, or at least, if you like, safe, not in the market. Because there are some investments that you are not in the market. The market fluctuates every day. And you shouldn't look at your investments every day, because that's emotional. You get emotionally involved and you get upset. And you get depressed.
And you can't sleep at night.
And you can't sleep.
Yeah.
And media, with all due respect, they love to play with your nerves. Drama. Yeah, they're drama queens, right?
They love the drama. Stir up the drama.
Yeah, that's what sells, papers.
So start with a goal. Take a snapshot of your finances. Start writing your goals down. Dream big.
Dream big.
Right?
That's the big thing. Is don't just put your goals and objectives, but dream right. Big, because I believe, look at me, I have accomplished all my dreams. I don't have that many dreams left, that I haven't done, and I accomplished them in about a quarter time that I set for them. So every year you should, every so often you should revisit them. Now is a very good time. End of the year, for example, is a very good time to revisit your goals. Look at, again, take a snapshot. Have you met your goals? Have you done have you accomplished what you set out to do? And look at your savings, you look at your investments. And I at least review once a year investments with my clients, their portfolio, to see what's happened. Because all the time, the world changes. The economy changes. So we need to be one step ahead.
And strategize and prioritize?
Yes, strategize.
Is important as well.
Very important. And also your life can change.
Right.
So you might be selling your house, buying another one, or suddenly I had a couple who just got married and they were young, and they're actually because usually families come to me, so I have all ages, and we're doing some planning with them, and they bought a house and they were so happy, and suddenly Apple offered the young man a job in California. So overnight everything changed, and he came to me and said, so I need all kinds of things, let's talk about estate planning, I need a lawyer, I need this and that, what are we going to do with our assets here in Canada? And I do a lot of work with cross border, so we had to give him some advice what to do with his RRSPs and this and that, and how he's going to be a non-resident if he lives in the United States, and what are the tax implications. So life is interesting.
Every day we wake up, it's a different day, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yes.
And of course, have a plan. An action plan is very critical as well. Do you think as women, do you think that we're planning enough?
Men plan much more. And they do also, they have the boys network. They talk to each other. When they want to buy a car, they ask a lot of their buddies, and they do research and so on. But for us, we want to buy a car or a house, which is one of the biggest investments of our lives. We do it, we do it very quickly, but if we want to buy shoes, we go around looking for more. Isn't that true? Or go on a holidays.
True. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I bought my houses quicker than decisions I made based on my shoes.
Isn't that true? And going on holidays, we take more time to plan.
Yeah.
So we need to learn as women, just like we are doing for our holidays, to plan ahead for our lives. Because in retirement, we were talking before about 1 in 7 women that are in poverty situation.
Canada, right.
And that is because I think lack of education and knowledge, but also society should be doing that as well. So the workplace should be doing something about it, having some seminars, not selling, investments, but financial planning. And I believe in schools they should have that. I'm a big supporter of education. So, this is very important. And I believe that, all women should make sure they know what is in their pension, how much money they're going to get from their company pensions, if they should be contributing to RRSPs. They always say there's a rule, 10%, save 10% for yourself, pay yourself 10% before you pay everybody else. And it's not a bad rule, It's great. Those old rules, they come in handy sometimes. We laugh at them, but it's so true. I know so many women who did that, and they are very wealthy today. They don't need anybody, and they have done very good job of managing their finances. So I think, we should congratulate ourselves. We have come a long way, but we need to improve still a lot of people, because some of those women we talked about, 1 out of 7, actually I think it's more, they rely on government. They think government is going to take care of themselves.
Take care of them, that's right, yeah.
Guess what? Government has, okay, we don't have big deficit like the rest of the world, but we are in deficit, and they're cutting back. So we don't know if old age programs are going to be there. We don't know if our Canada pension is going to survive, because there are fewer people coming into the workplace, but there are more retiring, right? So because of that, the boomers numbers are growing every year. So they're taking money out. So beware. I think you should look after your finances.
And lastly, build a sound financial foundation for really for your future. So that's also part of, there's planning, of course, but there's then building the foundation.
Yes.
Which takes time. And
yes. So it's like a pyramid. I put something together a long time ago, and the sound financial foundation is, to start, you need to build an emergency fund. I know it's basic stuff, but it's all important. So emergency funds, then you go into, okay, your house. Where do you want to live? So in these very low interest times, you can put very small down payment. Of course, the houses are expensive, but you can find. I'm sure, I know a lot of people. I have some clients, young clients who wanted houses, and they were able to find, because we have good people, that we can refer to as real estate agents. And I'm very happy I have one that is also my friend and client. But, this is important. So you have to look at your shelter. You have to look at protection, insurance. I don't believe always in insurance. But if you need it, you should have some, especially when you have children. You have people who depend on you, dependents, right? For yourself also. There are some insured retirement programs that you can pay into for, let's say, 15 years, and then you can borrow from them at retirement. You can retire at 55 or whatever you want, and you borrow from it, so it's not income, So this way, you have money to live without tax, So there is a lot of programs you can do, and then after that, you look at your investments, build retirement saving, etc.
Now, Jilla, what does, and thank you for sharing these, your advice and tips.
You're welcome.
I've made a whole lot of mental notes. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
What does success mean to you? I mean, you've come from a very, very wealthy family. Your circumstances changed. You had a lot of challenging situations in your life with your son, not having seen your son for many years, and today, as a financial planner, and you work with a lot of people, a lot of women especially, and in growing their wealth. So you see a lot. You've seen a lot of life. What does success mean to you?
Success to me is not a destination. It's a journey. Success is not just money. Because with money, you can't buy health, you can't buy happiness, you can't buy love, you can't buy relationships, etc., right? But what you can do is share your wealth, not just money, but what your knowledge and what you can give to society. And I think success is having a balanced life, not just working all the time, but having, putting your emotional, spiritual, family life, friendships, all the things that matter, and the finances, all in perspective, and having a wonderfully balanced life. It takes a long time. I have had a lot of life lessons, so I guess I'm successful, but now I think I'm more successful than I was before because I realized that. I think I had the paradigm shift, and I think my paradigm shift was when I found out, okay, I have everything, but I don't have anything. And it was that I needed to be fulfilled in my son and my family. That was really my family, my nucleus family, and that's why I'm very happy because I can make a difference. And I think success is making a difference in everybody's life. And I guess that's why I got the 7 awards. I didn't go after them, but I'm happy to always share my knowledge and whatever I have with everyone.
I have one last question. Of all the things that you've done, what are you most proud of?
Wow. What have I done? That is a tough question. Proud of. I think I'm proud that I have made a difference in some people's lives. And sometimes we don't know what that is. A while ago when I was giving a talk, a young woman came to me from the audience and she hugged me, and I didn't know her. She said, "You don't know me, but I know you. You made a big difference in my life." I said, "Did I? What have I done?" She said, "I didn't have any money. I wanted to start my business, and I couldn't hire anybody. So I went to the library and I saw your video. And so I took that video and I studied it. It was free, and I was so happy. And I learned so much from it, and that made a big difference because you said what I needed to do before I start my business. And now I'm very successful." I said, "I'm so happy." So I guess those are the things that I find I'm most proud of, that I have done something. I have made a difference in somebody's life.
Well, Jilla Mott, I'm afraid our time is now up, and I've really, truly enjoyed this discussion with you. And thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story and some advice and wisdom. And if anyone wants to contact you, then find out more information. Your website is www.keybase.com. And I think if you go to the website under advisors, you type in Jilla Mott, M-O-T-T, you'll find Jilla.
Yes.
Is there any other way to reach you, or is that the best
yes,
way?
my phone number.
Your phone number?
416-928-0342. That's my office number. I'll be happy to talk to anyone who wants to talk to me.
And of course, that's based in Toronto. Yes.
Yes, I'm based in Toronto, but I do work internationally, so I'm happy to help whoever I can help, be of service to.
Well, Jilla, I wish you all the best in all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me on your show, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Well, for more information about upcoming shows or to contact me, you can visit the website at extraordinarywomentv.com. Very special thanks to my parents, Leigh and Darlene Skinner. I know you're watching. Thank you so much. Well, if you are interested in transforming your life, I hope the story has inspired you. You've been watching Extraordinary Women TV with Shannon Skinner. That's me. We'll see you soon.